And we've had a slowdown in fundraising this year in Europe, and that's mostly come from the mega funds. So if you look at the last few years, what we really saw is the mega funds raise the bulk of the capital raised in Europe. So we had a record year in 2023, then 2024, but we've seen that slow down. And if you compare it to other regions in the world, the US and Asia actually started slowing down already 2 years ago, while in Europe we continue to see that capital raise continue in Europe. And essentially, you've seen a tailing off of the mega funds, which were responsible for that bulk of the capital raised. But if you look at the amount of new funds coming to market, that has been coming down, and especially in 2025. So we are seeing that slowdown sort of come. Now, I will caveat this with the fact that if you looked at just middle market fundraising, that's been very resilient in Europe, and we're actually on for a record year in terms of middle market fundraising in Europe. So it depends who you are. If you were a mega fund, you had a few good years behind you, and this year has been quite challenging. If you were a first-time manager, you've been struggling for the last 3 years to raise some capital. And however, if you're a middle market fund, then fundraising has been pretty resilient in Europe.
Which EU country has the lion's share of fundraising, and why, in your opinion?
Yeah, so the largest market in Europe is the UK. If you looked at deals, they roughly contribute to about 20 to 25% of deals and exits. However, when it comes to fundraising, they actually have the lion's share. So over 50% of the capital raised this year in Europe has come from the UK and from UK domiciled funds. So as much as the UK hasn't done quite well in terms of deal making and exits, in terms of fundraising, we see the bulk of the capital raised in the UK and specifically in London.
What about the mid-market fundraising?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier, mid-market fundraising has been very resilient the last couple of years, and especially this year, with 8 months worth of data, we've already raised 75% of the capital raised from last year. And so we expect to finish with a record year this year in terms of mid-market funds.